This anime is revered by countless people as the originator of the isekai genre. Although its intellectual battles fall slightly short of Death Note, its consistently intelligent combat strategy is utterly addictive. 6,000 years ago, gods and their 14 created races waged a millennium-long war to seize the throne of the one true god. Yet, because of one weak human, this war ended abruptly before a final victor emerged. Thus, the deity Tet, the only one who retained power, won without fighting and ascended as the one true god. Simultaneously, humans became the 16th race in the sequence. Tet forbade all killing and plunder within this world. He decreed that the 16 races claiming to possess wisdom must, under the 10 covenants, exhaust all their intellect to seize everything they desired. Thereafter, all conflicts in this world would be conducted through games. During this time, a brother and sister appeared. Though weak, they never lost. The brother Sora is characterized as a virgin, an agoraphobic gaming nerd. The sister Shiro shares his traits and also refuses to attend school. At this moment, Shiro was playing a game with her feet. Sora simultaneously controlled 6 accounts. Even while eating and playing, the siblings routinely crushed professional players. Their game name, Blank, gradually became synonymous with godhood in the gaming world. In reality, the siblings more closely resembled a pair of functionally conjoined infants incapable of self-care, refusing to sleep until utterly exhausted. At that moment, Shiro arranged a mouse on Sora's soles, offering words of encouragement before peacefully falling asleep. Thus, the siblings' reclusive home life persisted for 2.5 full years. But on this day, things changed. Sora received an email challenge letter, and the sender knew Blank represented both siblings, while outsiders typically assumed it was a single player's alias. Intrigued, Sora clicked the link, only to be met with an international chess interface. Losing interest, Shiro attempted to sleep, making Sora panic because logical computation was Shiro's forte. When facing algorithmic opponents, Sora struggled. International chess inherently has a guaranteed winning strategy. Theoretically, mastering all 10 circumflex 110 possible scenarios could eliminate luck, turning it into a pure right or wrong game. Against a chess master's program with alternating opening moves, Shiro had achieved 20 consecutive victories. Yet things weren't so straightforward. The opponent deliberately played a poor move. Shiro, skilled in human versus AI matches, had never encountered this scenario, which typically indicated a human adversary. This shifted the battle into psychological warfare territory, Sora's specialty. Though the siblings were unbeatable together, this prolonged chess duel nearly exhausted them. After barely securing victory, Shiro even questioned if the opponent was human. Suddenly, a pop-up reappeared on their screen, asking if they wished to enter a new world, a world where winning and losing games determined everything. Disillusioned with their current world, feeling they had been born into the wrong womb and world from the start, the siblings unhesitatingly affirmed. Instantly, they were transported to a black, mysterious space. Immediately, a child's voice emanated from the computer, expressing profound regret for not meeting them sooner and lamenting the injustice of their circumstances. The siblings, like countless successors, were transported to another world. Yet in this world, survival depended solely on winning games and wit, for all was governed by the one true god Tet, the god of games. The world must operate according to gaming rules, with its fundamental system being the 10 covenants. Here, killing was forbidden. War and plunder were prohibited. All disputes must be resolved through fair games. Outcomes determined by games must be obeyed regardless of status. When Tet finally finished explaining the rules, Shiro was frozen in shock. Sora was on the verge of collapse, swearing that even if death came the next second, he would defend Shiro with his entire being. This bizarre world left the siblings struggling to absorb everything. Before reaching the town, they encountered robbers. The siblings staked their lives in everything, while the robbers staked everything they possessed. Game outcomes must be obeyed. Winning against the robbers, the siblings left with ease, leaving the 3 robbers weeping bitterly. Confirming once more that everything was decided solely through games, the siblings then set their sights on the first human race town ahead, the last remaining human settlement in this other world. At the brink of racial extinction, the old king had decreed before his death that the selection of the next monarch must be determined by game outcomes. After Sora used their only coin to secure lodging, Shiro's phone snapped a photo. She detected the human princess's opponent cheating, but they lacked concrete evidence, only noticing someone suspicious in the corner. unaware yet that this was the power of magic, which all humans were incapable of wielding. It meant the cheater was collaborating with external forces coveting the human throne. According to Article 8 of the Ten Covenants, detected cheating constitutes defeat. Sora reported this to the princess. Yet despite the warning, the princess still lost. That night, the princess blamed Sora for not exposing the cheating method immediately. Hearing this, Sora didn't get angry but laughed instead. He mocked the princess for carrying the bloodline of a foolish ruler. Their conflict completely erupted. According to the other world's rules, all disputes must be resolved through games. Yet entirely unexpectedly, Sora proposed a rock-paper-scissors game where he could only win by playing paper. The princess had no reason to refuse. Now pay attention to the following rules. Otherwise, without an IQ of 180, it would be hard to understand. First, if Sora played scissors while the princess played paper, or Sora played rock while the princess played scissors, Sora's failure to play paper counted as a loss. But simultaneously, the princess's scissors and paper choices also lost. Thus, these scenarios were considered draws. Second, if both Sora and the princess played paper, neither lost, so this too was a draw. In all remaining scenarios, Sora could only win by playing paper against the princess's rock. Otherwise, it was counted as a loss. If the siblings lost the bet, they must apologize, teach the princess how to cheat and submit to her disposal. But if the siblings won, the princess must fulfill any one of their demands. In case of a draw, Sora would merely teach the princess how to cheat, and in exchange, the princess must grant Sora one small wish, such as arranging future lodging for their impoverished selves.
So you're saying you want me to give you a place to stay?
At this point, the princess remained unaware she had fallen into a trap. Article 6 of the Ten Covenants states that outcomes determined by games must be obeyed regardless of status. The princess wasn't all big breasts with no brains. She quickly calculated that playing rock or scissors gave her a 2/3 winning probability, while playing paper only 1/3. Yet playing rock was the only move that could cause her loss. Thus, her only viable choice was to play scissors. Initially intending to go against the expected approach, she reconsidered. A mastermind's thoughts were as vast and complex as the starry sky. Mentally replaying the scenario, she confirmed Sora could only achieve his highest win rate and lowest loss rate by playing paper. She then decided, one round to decide victory. The result was a draw. Yet the most brilliant twist was about to unfold. First, Sora had foreseen that under rules seemingly unfavorable to him, the princess would play the safest move scissors to ensure victory. Sora had targeted a draw from the very beginning, but to assume he merely wanted free lodging would gravely underestimate him. Revisiting the bet terms for a draw, the princess must fulfill Sora's small wish. Regarding the wish's content, while the princess proactively confirmed providing free lodging, Sora never passively confirmed it. This meant whether Sora won or drew, the princess faced identical stake risks, fulfilling Sora's arbitrary demand. And the small wish Sora would soon propose was destined to be utterly beastly.
To love me! Huh? To love me! To love...
Since game outcomes must be obeyed, and loving someone means giving everything for them, this was practically a perfect scoring answer sheet for a college entrance exam reading comprehension. Yet in Shirou's heart, this answer sheet was graded as failing. She refused to share her brother with anyone else. To Shirou, Sora's condition constituted emotional infidelity on a spiritual level. By now, the side effects of the wager's effectiveness had manifested. The princess viewed Sora through a lens of romantic affection. Even knowing it was false, she couldn't escape it. Such was the formidable power of the Covenant's enforcement. No wonder Shirou had gotten furious earlier. Regarding physical aspects, Shirou held no objections. She was also a loyal sister who understood greater principles. However, these siblings indeed behaved somewhat excessively. Even Tet likely found it intolerable. Yet the princess accidentally kicked up a major complication because the siblings couldn't separate by over 1 meter and needed constant visual contact. Otherwise, both would become timid and tremble uncontrollably. This remained their sole weakness. As for daily routines like bathing, they still hadn't figured out how to resolve it. There existed one such couple. They were incredibly powerful, yet never won a single victory throughout their lives. In the dark age of chaotic warfare among gods, all 16 races created by the deities served as subjects under the gods. To preserve the human race and end this prehistoric epic of carnage, the couple poured their hearts and souls into the struggle. Ultimately, they narrowly defeated fate, ushering in the opportunity for the god of games, Tet, to ascend to the throne of the one true god. Since then, fair competition became the main theme of the other world. Millions of years later, standing on the shoulders of predecessors, emerged one such pair of siblings. They were extremely weak, yet never knew what losing meant. Today, with 16 powerful races standing tall, the human race could not compare to the elves born skilled in magic, nor match the dragons gifted with innate talents, nor equal the giants in stature, nor even rival the Warbeast in physical prowess. How could the utterly featureless human race survive within these narrow crevices? Perhaps this was why Tet summoned Sora and Shiro to this other world. Tet even gave a promise. In the future, the siblings could challenge him for the opportunity to claim the throne of the one true god. Yet achieving external goals required internal stability first. However, even with the human race facing imminent peril, it didn't stop Sora from sneaking a peek at girls bathing. To tease Sora, Shiro conjured an alluring scene on her phone, causing Sora's nose to bleed profusely. Steph realized how unreliable her entrusted masters were but still offered them clothes, specifically the size she wore at age 11. Shiro immediately covered her chest in shame, while Sora changed into dashing attire, instantly triggering Steph's romantic infatuation eruption. To lessen the effect, Steph personally went to the kitchen to brew tea, yet the despair in her heart never diminished. Unexpectedly, upon returning to the bedroom, the siblings had vanished. On the balcony, the siblings stood against the wind. In a daze, Steph suddenly gained a sliver of confidence. She decided to explain Elkia Kingdom's human race history to the siblings, for during the bath, she learned from Shiro that they came from another world inhabited solely by humans. Though unaware these two had been summoned by the deity Tet, and the siblings learned their opponents were absolutely not human. The current city is also humanity's last territory. Among the 16 exalted races, Old Deus ranks first. According to later official history, it was the one true god Tet who defeated the Old Deus race, not a human couple. Phantasma ranks second. Elementals rank third. The 7th ranked is Elf. 14th place is Warbeast. As for the human race, they rank last, 16th. The hierarchy rankings are based on magic adaptability. Humanity's magic adaptability happens to be 0, inferior even to the Warbeast race. They cannot even detect when magic is cast upon them. In an instant, Sora recalled that suspicious woman. No wonder Steph lost to her opponent without suspense. The script of this world was completely unrecognizable to Sora. Yet, within just the past 10 minutes, Shiro had fully deciphered the human race's written language. Sora excitedly praised Shiro as a true genius. But in another world, Shiro had also instantly mastered 18 languages. The brothers' genius-level rock-paper-scissors strategy, the sisters' monstrous intellect, combined with their perfectly trusting teamwork, for a fleeting moment, Steph began to hope for a miracle. Meanwhile, Clammy, colluding with other races from within, was advancing through the competition. Should she win the selection tournament, she would become this nation's king. Sora was genuinely curious why Steph wanted to be king. Was she afraid of losing her royal status? Or did she want to protect humanity's last land? In the history of humanity's repeated defeats, there was one foolish king. He was deemed an incompetent ruler by later generations, but also the grandfather of the girl Steph. Unlike any wise king of the past, the foolish king steadfastly believed in humanity's potential. He held that even without magic, humans could defeat other races. Humanity's anthem is the anthem of courage. Humanity's greatness is the greatness of courage. Even wagering their lands and betting humanity's future, the foolish king firmly believed all this. Steph wanted to become king to reclaim the territories precisely to prove that her grandfather, who believed in humanity, was correct. Hence emerged the rule determining kingship through game outcomes. He wasn't selecting a king but seeking humanity's strongest gambler. Yet now, a traitor colluding with other races had appeared. Should Clammy ascend the throne, it would mean the nation's and race's destruction. Clammy intentionally dropped the clothes on the ground. But these clothes were not only the late king's relic but also the wager Steph had lost.
You know, if you keep acting like that, you're only gonna prove her right.
Sora picked up the clothes for Steph and returned them to Clammy, because according to 6th of the Covenants, the outcome of games must absolutely be obeyed. If she wanted them back, she had to win them herself. From this moment onward, the siblings formally accepted Clammy's challenge, not just for Steph as a free meal ticket, but also for the former king who believed in humanity's potential. Admittedly, This world offered hellish difficulty from the start, which had now fully ignited both siblings' fighting spirit, using a phone to detect magic, then employing military strategy to directly overwhelm it. Just how powerful can modern humans be after crossing into another world? To prevent Clammy's ascension, Shiro publicly presented phone photos and had Steph identify the hidden elf. Though Clammy vehemently denied it, the crowds began doubting Clammy's legitimacy as monarch. Facing Sora and Shiro's direct challenge, Clammy had no retreat and could only engage in another kingship game. However, according to Fifth of the Covenants, the challenged party holds the right to determine the game's content. Clammy decided to postpone the match. 2.5 days later, Clammy boarded their carriage and confessed she had accepted the elves' assistance. But she had no intention of being a puppet, only relying on the elf race's protection. Upon ascending the throne, she would immediately forfeit all games and close off the nation to protect humanity's last sanctuary. Clammy believed this was humanity's only viable path, and earnestly tried persuading them to surrender through reason and emotion. Yet she was profoundly mistaken. Firstly, surrender did not exist in Sora and Shiro's dictionary. Secondly, her contempt for the human race truly enraged both siblings. The inevitable final confrontation commenced, and the chosen game was chess. Sora immediately rejoiced inwardly. After all, in this domain, even the god of games Tet had once narrowly lost to them. But would it be that simple? Just as Shiro achieved overwhelming victory, her chess pieces suddenly disobeyed. The chessboard was a battlefield. Every piece possessed life. Shiro's piece exchange tactics essentially commanded soldiers to sacrifice themselves. Sentient pieces would never willingly die without cause. This was actually a contest testing the leader's charisma. Shiro excelled only in logical computation. This moment marked the formal transfer of the challenge to Sora, the master of emotional intelligence.
Attention, all forces! We'll be heroes and win the right to get it on with any woman they like! Therefore, fellow virgins, you must not die!
How could mere natives of another world compete with modern humans, well-versed in success studies and speechcraft? Since the chess pieces possessed life consciousness and the board was akin to a battlefield, merely inspiring peak morale could override the rules of chess. Sora's fighting spirit surged so intensely that he flipped up Shiro's long bangs. He would also avenge his silently weeping sister, loudly proclaiming that lowlies represent justice. Thus, Sora formally shattered the magic Clammy had cast on the black pieces. The black pieces obeyed not due to Clammy's leadership traits, but because elves had tampered with them via magic in advance. Using phone photography, Sora had spotted this earlier. Unfortunately, Clammy could later mask it with the hollow concept of leadership traits. So even if she cheated, at least among humanity, no one could expose it, precisely the tragedy of the human race. But just as Sora held near certain victory, Clammy shamelessly deployed brainwashing magic. Afterwards, she could still explain it as excessively strong charisma, making her even more fit to be king. To prevent losing more soldiers, Sora urgently ordered a full retreat. Yet it couldn't stop the Black Queen from decapitating the White King. Even though the king surrendered, the loophole was that pieces couldn't harm humans. Sora, since the modern world, had been a master of romance simulation games. Capturing a mere Black Queen was effortless. Seeing this, Clammy made blunder after blunder. She even ordered knights to behead the turned queen. This caused hesitation among the sentient pieces. Clearly a deep-seated logic no magic could override. Clammy misunderstood human nature. In her agitation, she issued increasingly ruthless decrees. Thus civil strife erupted. The black pieces heeded the turned queen's uprising. A third red faction appeared on the board. Sora continuously played the role of an incendiary agitator, labeling Clammy a tyrant. The scales of victory thus tipped. Sora, steeped in psychology and speechcraft, understood the laws of war far better than Clammy. Throughout history, people have fought only for justice. Attacking cities is inferior. Attacking minds is superior. Subduing the enemy without fighting, this is humanity's potential. Because they are weak, they devote themselves to studying wisdom. On the chessboard, the entire army shared unified morale. Their momentum overpowered the magic. Clammy attempted to imitate Sora by burning bridges for a final stand, but unknowingly sank deeper into dictatorship. Ultimately, the Black King died by assassination from a nameless pawn, the shared fate of all tyrannical regimes in human history. Regarding this, Sora also apologized to Clammy. for conflicts among their own kind were commonplace in their world. Through Sora and Shiro's victory of the weak over the strong, Steph finally understood her grandfather's principle. Precisely because they are weak can they perceive strength. Precisely because they are weak can they contend with the truly powerful. Such humans would inevitably emerge. This is humanity's boundless potential. Yet in this warm moment, Clammy suspected the siblings relied on assistance from an even stronger race. This naturally earned her a harsh reprimand from Sora, ultimately reducing Clammy to tears. At that moment, Tet hung upside down in the sky outside the city, laughing as he watched this scene. Afterward came Sora and Shiro's coronation. But between the siblings, who was actually more suited to be humanity's king? According to Covenant 7, the group must appoint a sole agent. Sora intended to volunteer, but faced Shiro's vehement opposition. Becoming king would mean establishing a harem. With a harem, he would abandon his sister. Using top-tier reasoning, Shiro deduced she should be king, only to meet Sora's fierce objection. It seemed today demanded a duel to the death. Yet 2 weeks later, both sides had won hundreds of matches with no end in sight. As sibling battles required 2 consecutive victories to conclude, an impossible feat, they realized the Covenant never specified only one agent. Through textual interpretation, both became co-kings. Steph eagerly dragged over piles of domestic petitions. Due to the vacant throne, work had accumulated. Unfortunately, the siblings ignored state affairs, engrossed in their PSP. The existence of traitorous ministers proved troublesome. They summoned all ministers, forcing them to swear under the Covenant to play rock, paper, scissors, where the kings played scissors, ministers played paper. Losers were compelled to pledge eternal loyalty to the nation. Tet must have regretted summoning these two. With their phone containing a modern library and solar power bank in tow, they handled governance while cross-referencing data. They resolved most state affairs in a single day, thanks largely to their experience playing a game called Civilization. To beat it, they had preloaded all professional texts. Though modern knowledge functioned like a system, Sora deemed it insignificant compared to opponents cheating with magic. The siblings next planned to officially appear before the public, but the large crowd made Sora nervous, yet united, they feared nothing anywhere. Sora decisively recited Trump's campaign speech flawlessly. His impassioned rhetoric not only inspired the humans present, but also impressed former rival Clammy.
We will rule this kingdom together.
At this moment, humanity's chess piece descended, symbolizing the siblings' formal coronation. Even Steph experienced a fleeting illusion that these siblings could certainly save the human race. But illusion remained illusion. Starting the very next day, the monarchs ceased morning court sessions. They even specifically moved into a prison cell to sleep because they disliked the bed being tilted. Each day, Sora awoke unable to find Shiro. To rouse the 2 kings pretending to be asleep, Steph specifically challenged Sora. Though Sora had game selection rights, he disdained using them. The wager was that if Steph won, the siblings would properly serve as kings thereafter. This led Sora to discover a novel application of the Covenant. He deliberately lost to Steph, making her change the wager to becoming a successful person with a girlfriend. Unfortunately, imagination was beautiful, but the brother could not lose to anyone except his sister. Naturally, Steph lost due to overestimating herself. Their demanded wager was for Steph to dress as a kimono Mimi and walk through town. Strange events then occurred. All residents avoided the trio. A king's procession drew not a single approach. The reason was racial hierarchy. The residents mistook Steph for an actual Warbeast. Fear of the Warbeasts, ranked 14th in humanity, quickly emptied the streets. Consequently, Sora designated the Warbeast country, or more accurately, the Kemonamimi country, as the first target for post-coronation conquest. Fortunately, Shiro's timely reminder intervened. Detailed intelligence must be gathered first. Knowing oneself and the enemy ensures victory in every battle. Yet humanity's greatest library had long ago been lost by a foolish predecessor king to a Flugel. Therefore, to swiftly acquire knowledge for attacking the Warbeast country, Sora and Shiro decided to win back the library from the Flugel race. The game was named Materialization Word Connector. The rules transformed players' spoken words into required magic, materializing or removing the described objects. For example, uttering oxygen caused oxygen molecules in the air to vanish independently. If air was spoken next, all gases disappeared, but the vanished oxygen reappeared, refining the air into pure oxygen. The items they named had to actually exist. Failure occurred under 3 conditions. failing to answer within 30 seconds, repeating words, objects, or being unable to continue. If the rules were understood, the high-stakes match against the ancient Flugel race would commence. The wager was a smartphone unseen by the god-killing weapon and knowledge from 40,000 books. Covenant 3 required both sides to stake wagers of equivalent value, yet even the Flugel Jibril could not produce a wager of corresponding worth. Thus, she confidently staked everything. In truth, from the moment they met, the siblings discerned Jibril was a knowledge-obsessed, eccentric Flugel. Her life was so prolonged that she had invented a linguistic system blending Japanese with English. Hence, Sora offered the wager of 40,000 books. Round 1. Sora directly named Hydrogen Bomb, a heavyweight item. Note that dying in the game constituted being unable to continue. As Sora anticipated, Jibril, unwilling to end immediately, answered Ancient Blessing. Everyone emerged unscathed from the hydrogen bomb blast, but Jibril fell into Sora's first-tier trap. Round 2. To prevent Jibril from using magic again, Sora simply answered magic. Thus, magical elements were eliminated from the game. Jibril couldn't even fly. She then casually named a horse. Later, Jibril responded with beach. Though a beautiful place, it proved torturous for the homebody siblings. Round 3. Jibril declared bikini clothes, finally providing poor Steph with underwear. Sora excitedly blurted out luggage. To further bait Sora, Jibril named Cyclone. Sora immediately answered women's clothing. Thereafter, Steph remained stark naked. Time passed without notice until dusk. Poor Steph was still running. The siblings could only name teppanyaki to fill their stomachs. Next answer, mantle. The mantle was clearly a blind spot in the otherworlder's knowledge. Unaware of the danger, Jibril continued treating it as play, thus falling into Sora's second-tier trap. Subsequent answer, outer core. 2 consecutive answers caused nothing to happen. Jibril grew contemptuous of the humans before her, advising them to surrender if tired. She then answered lamp. Earlier, the siblings' fragile, light-sensitive appearance on the beach had misled Jibril into assuming light aversion was universal among Earth humans. Unbeknownst to her, this was the third-tier trap Sora had laid. After mocking Jibril for lacking reverence toward the unknown, the siblings launched into a full sprint. Leaping skyward while declaring the word lithosphere, this meant planetary explosion. Steph vaporized first. The planetary surface was utterly erased, leaving behind a core at 6,000 degrees. Only then did Jibril understand why Sora had eliminated magic, but it was far too late. She would fall into the magma before Sora and Shiro, resulting in inability to continue. Thus, Jibril could only eliminate the sun to lower temperatures. Yet the siblings immediately declared oxygen while holding their breath. Jibril calmly declared plants, but without soil, plants couldn't exist. She hastily amended to air. Unfortunately, the otherworlder didn't comprehend the periodic table, simplistically assuming respiration required just air restoration. Sora and Shiro had previously eliminated only oxygen, meaning Jibril now eliminated all other gases, restoring solely oxygen. Pure oxygen was highly toxic. The siblings had prepared for this. Cycling shared oxygen, they declared atmosphere. Jibril still attempted resistance, but sound couldn't propagate in vacuum. Yet she managed to inscribe words mid-air. Her written diminish coincidentally countered Sora's inscribed Coulomb force. Coulomb force's disappearance would trigger planetary detonation. Jibril finally realized diminish was mere bait. Sora's initial hydrogen bomb summoning aimed solely to confirm whether this world validated Earth's knowledge, his first-tier trap. The intentionally flawed personalities made Jibril underestimate humans. Whatever derogatory term she conceived, Sora had pre-written the countering answer. Should Coulomb force vanish, the supernova's terror 50 billion degrees meant not just a Flugel, but even deities manifesting could only face slaughter. After this contest, the ancient god-killing weapon Jibril wholeheartedly surrendered. Sora still willingly shared the 40,000 books with Jibril. After all, their ultimate goal was the one true god, Tet. This both shocked and deeply moved Jibril. She chose to part ways with her deceased master, the god of war, and henceforth came under the command of the siblings. Who could have imagined these siblings would immediately wager species chess against the Warbeast species? Losing species chess would instantly reduce all humans to livestock, stripping them of their rights as a species. Across the nation, subjects silently seethed at the reckless monarch's decision. Yet why would Eastern Union, the world's third-ranked superpower, gamble its survival against the human species holding but a single city. What schemes did these siblings employ? Everything traces back to Eastern Union itself. The nation once suffered internal strife, with rival Warbeast clans refusing to acknowledge each other. This persisted until an exceptional priestess emerged, unifying the Warbeast realm. Similar to humans, Warbeasts cannot use magic, but their magic adaptability isn't zero. They can sense when magic is cast upon them. Warbeasts excel at mind reading, possess heightened senses, and boast physical capabilities nearing biological limits. Under the priestess's leadership, Eastern Union prospered and established its unique game. Leveraging the pledge rule, which lets them choose the game after accepting a challenge, Eastern Union remains undefeated, cementing its status as the world's third superpower. Moreover, all defeated challengers face mandatory erasure of game-related memories. Thus, no one knows what Eastern Union's game entails. Jibril once sought the challenge herself, yet even she suffered total defeat, later having all game memories wiped. Even Elven Guard, the world's foremost superpower and the 7th-ranked elf species nation, challenged 4 times consecutively, yet astonishingly suffered 4 consecutive defeats. Just as Sora questioned why Eastern Union wasn't the world's top power, Jibril informed him another nation had challenged 8 times consecutively, losing half its territory and even its original royal capital. Sora felt a sense of foreboding. Observing Steph's expression, he realized her foolish king grandfather was responsible. But was Steph's grandfather truly foolish? Why challenge 8 times knowing defeat was certain? Sora and Shiro stayed awake all night, arriving at only one possibility. The foolish king's game memories hadn't been erased. This explained everything. Eastern Union's game wasn't invincible, hence the memory erasure. Sparing the foolish king's memories served to entice repeated challenges, ultimately reflecting disdain for the human species. If so, where were the clues the foolish king left for posterity? Yet the group needn't worry. Sora already knew. Earlier he'd noted the bed slanted, proving a hidden chamber must exist in the king's bedroom. Utilizing Sora and Shiro's ingenuity, the group swiftly disabled the mechanism. The foolish king's confidential records on all Warbeast games were documented in his diary. They learned the truth about the game challenges. As for why the records remained, clearly the Warbeasts had been outmaneuvered. The foolish king's pledge was never to divulge game information during his lifetime, but he said nothing about after death. Thus Sora and Shiro secured the vital intelligence. The longest vengeance spans just one night. So the very next day they came to provoke. At the sound of the announcement, the ambassador of Eastern Union to Elkia appeared.
Hey, pretty girl with the animal ears, wanna come play with me? I know.
Seeing a beast-eared girl, the siblings rushed over and petted her continuously, and she enjoyed being petted like a cat. This young girl was none other than Izuna, Eastern Union's ambassador to the human species. Yet, however adorable a loli might be, she couldn't be taken home. Soon Sora exposed the Warbeasts' lie about mind reading. In truth, Warbeasts were not skilled in mind reading, though their heightened senses were real. They merely discerned their prey's heartbeat patterns to analyze whether spoken words were true or false. Essentially, it was just a lie detector, far from actual mind reading. Having confirmed this, Sora and Shiro arrogantly declared war.
And humanity's race piece.
Sora, are you insane?
Sora dared to stake the species' chess because he confidently believed the Warbeasts had no retreat. The foolish king had fully documented the game's secrets. If allowed to leave today, information about the Warbeast species would spread worldwide by tomorrow. Endless challengers would follow, plunging Eastern Union into unprecedented crisis. Thus, in this national gamble, despite the disparity in land, resources, and population, Eastern Union had no choice. Yet a mere embassy lacked decision-making authority. The siblings gave them 1 week. But would matters prove so simple? Upon learning the human king wagered the human species chess, all humanity erupted in fury, denouncing Sora and Shiro as the new generation of reckless, foolish monarchs. Every shred of goodwill they'd built vanished. Clammy and the elf even resolved to overthrow these tyrants to save 3 million lives on the betting table. Now note the date is the 19th. In the game, they commanded the white pieces. After concluding an Othello match, Sora stood and bid Shiro farewell. The instant he turned around, he vanished.
Let's get this game started, shall we?
This was a top-tier game that astonished millions of spectators. The loser would lose their memories, even be erased from existence. But what consequence follows such erasure? Upon waking, Shiro habitually reached toward the side. Immediately afterward, For reasons unknown, she hid in a corner weeping bitterly, as though the girl had lost her most precious thing. Even text messages in her phone were wiped clean. Shiro utterly refused to believe this. Unaware, Steph asked what was wrong. Now note the date is the 21st. Steph had no idea who or what Sora even was. She knew nothing. Confirming Sora had truly vanished from this world, Shiro's world reverted to gray. To restore Sora's existence, Shiro ran to the underground prison where they once lived together. Only a tablet computer remained there. Just then, Jibril also arrived, yet both Jibril's and Steph's master had become Shiro. Not a trace of Sora existed anywhere in this world anymore. The duo blank had vanished too. What terrifying power could rewrite everyone's memories? Unconvinced, Shiro questioned city residents, yet no answer contained Sora. Jibril speculated Shiro must have lost to Eastern Union unnoticed, then had her memories altered, the only possibility. To help Shiro, Jibril proposed a rigged match with false memories in Shiro's mind as the wager. By deliberately losing to Jibril, Shiro would erase all false memories of Sora and cease grieving. But as the final piece moved, suddenly a great hand of fate pressed down upon Shiro's small hand, and the hand of fate whispered the name blank.
Blank does not lose!
No matter how cruel the truth might be, at this moment, Shiro firmly believed her brother Sora absolutely existed. Though Jibril still harbored doubts, Steph had a sudden awakening. Shiro and her brother simply could not lose. Not knowing if Sora existed, Steph used they as a substitute. Shiro quickly calmed down and asked both to recall what they did yesterday, the 20th. Steph was busy handling protesters while Shiro played games on the throne, but that was a memory of the 19th. Upon careful recollection, discrepancies appeared. Everyone seemed to have lost a day's experience. Confirmation was simple. Shiro buried her head in Steph's chest and asked if it stirred any feelings. Steph naturally felt nothing, meaning the one who claimed to have fallen for Steph couldn't have been Shiro. Unexpectedly, Steph's crucial help confirmed Sora's existence for the panicked Shiro. Perhaps this was the trio's predestined bond. Next was how to retrieve Sora. Mass erasure of memories for all involved individuals could only be achieved by the Covenant. Thus, Sora was likely engaged in an existence stakes game right now. Shiro then recalled Sora's three parting statements. First, brother believes in Shiro. They were bound together by a promise. Second, they weren't shown in manga protagonists but often won before games even began. Third, go obtain the final puzzle piece to annex Eastern Union. Shiro's mind raced. The first statement meant they were intrinsically linked. Shiro retaining partial memories proved she participated too, likely as Sora's successor player after his disappearance. The second meant Sora left Shiro a winning strategy. The third, the final puzzle piece, was the Overseer. Preventing Warbeast cheating required profound magical skill. Yet Jibril specialized in warfare, making the answer obvious. The Overseer was the elf assistant beside Clammy, an essential ally the human race must secure. This deduction nearly exhausted the girl. In the void, Sora intentionally lost all his white pieces to Clammy. After Clammy gained everything from Sora, she finally comprehended that Sora had humanity's best interests at heart. Upon losing the fourth to last white piece, Sora vanished completely from the void. According to the Covenant, the winner could still make 2 additional demands. Shortly after, Shiro regained consciousness and immediately instructed Jibril to analyze the room's magical residue. Since the siblings could not be separated by more than 1 meter, the game must have taken place within this very room. An anomaly was indeed detected precisely where Steph had stumbled. 3 unused game pieces materialized out of thin air. Note that Sora could only possess white pieces but would never sit in direct sunlight. In the void, Clammy was astonished. Why did Sora leave 3 pieces behind after his own erasure? Could anything surpass the importance of one's own existence? Only Shiro could reveal the answer. As Shiro placed the pieces on the ground, the entire game layout materialized. Sora's 3 statements corresponded to the 3 pieces he left behind. His own existence was merely the 4th to last sacrifice. Winning the game ranked 3rd. Above all was his absolute trust in Shiro. Everything concerning Shiro held supreme importance, the piece that must never, ever be lost. Sora designed this perilous game duel because risk and reward coexisted. Beyond securing the loyalty of the elf before him, Sora also gained an ally who could safeguard his back. As the victor, his 2 demands were, first, preserving and restoring memories, thereby reviving Clammy. Second, acquiring the right to alter elf memories, a powerful foreshadowing Sora, embedded for future victories.
Oh my god, I was so cute! I'm never doing that again! Wow!
Never seen such an amazing shooting game, where anyone hit by another's bullet falls in love with the shooter, regardless of relationship or gender. Hearing this, the younger sister flashed a sinister smile at her brother. Sora considered violating ethics to fall for Shiro, only for Jibril to intercept the shot. Could this be the limit? After all, backstabbing allies is highly unethical. This time Steph was invited to test bullet ricochets. Now the foolish girl utterly loves her mirror reflection. The upcoming match likely won't involve her. She'll serve as bargain, bin filler. What truly surprised everyone, Warbeast's undefeated game was actually VR gaming. Though unclear how Warbeasts mastered electronics, the siblings dominated effortlessly, Shiro being a world record FPS player. Upon entering, both nearly got eliminated by modeling-induced social anxiety.
Oh dear, Master, what's wrong with you?
We're all doomed. I'm sorry, I didn't expect to be sent to Tokyo. I can't do anything here.
Why Warbeasts possessed modern city models remains unknown, but confirming it was a game revived them. Additionally, VR lacked magic elements, while physical, sensory attributes depended on real-world fitness, explaining why Flugel and Elf races suffered crushing defeats. Rules were simple. Team Human sent Sora, Shiro, Jibril, Steph. Warbeasts deployed only Izuna. Eliminating either team ended the game. Numerous female NPCs roamed silently. Players fired love energy to clear them. Hitting NPCs restored energy. Missing consumed it. Depleted energy required natural regeneration. However, hitting a player's body temporarily enslaved them to the shooter's affection, demonstrated by Shiro. Rules grew more complex. Precisely striking clothes player or NPC made them vanish. With Clammy and the Elf Overseer in position, the duel wagering the sovereignty of Lucia Continent's two great races commenced. First was the showdown between Shiro and Izuna. Hearing footsteps alone, Izuna identified Shiro and instantly fired love energy toward the pinpointed location. After dozens of ricochets, it shot precisely at the opponent, an astonishing display of prediction. Unfortunately, she faced Shiro, a player at the pinnacle of FPS gaming. Shiro could perform bullet interceptions, surpassing human limits. Every exchange left Izuna completely outmatched. Shiro even predicted the bullet trajectory in advance. Izuna had never encountered such an elusive foe. Desperately evading, she leaped from the skyscraper. Yet escaping the siblings' encirclement proved impossible. Jibril attacked from below, though Izuna narrowly dodged the bullet. Jibril's inability to sustain flight granted Izuna a counter chance. Just as she nearly subdued Jibril, an ambusher shot a love bullet against the backlight. Izuna released Jibril. While mid-air maneuvering, a bullet from the ambusher locked onto her anchorless position. At the critical moment, Izuna discarded her clothing. Per game rules, bullets striking clothes only made them vanish. Thus, Izuna escaped. After this round, Sora could not smile. Shiro exhausted her stamina. Humanity seemed dominant, but defeat loomed closer. Clueless human spectators marveled at the king's prowess, while Clammy and the Elf Overseer broke into cold sweat. In principle, Sora's love bullet fired against backlight should have been undetectable. Yet the elf's magic equations detected no cheating traces, indicating Warbeasts might possess an innate sixth sense for danger. No wonder they confidently deployed only Izuna. Observe Shiro's current attire. The critical question remained, how could they defeat such a terrifying opponent? Compounded by Warbeast allies constantly calling out Izuna's positions, Sora and Shiro grew exhausted. Only by dusk did Shiro seize a computational opportunity. After all, Warbeasts merely approached physical limits. Carbon-based lifeforms inevitably had flaws. Just as Shiro neared completing her calculations, Izuna attacked Sora again. This time, Shiro intercepted the bullet with her body, and her defection signaled Izuna's impending defeat. Izuna proved too inexperienced. She never questioned why Sora effortlessly dodged Shiro's subsequent bullets. Perhaps she never got the chance. Sora ordered Jibril to fully restrain Izuna, while noticing Shiro had conserved stamina all along. Shiro wasn't plotting against him. She had deceived everyone. Only clothing could have been struck. As the siblings staged a mock death duel, Izuna succumbed to finishing blow impulse. Simultaneously, Jibril and Sora fired at Izuna. Their bullets collided mid-air and ricocheted unexpectedly, an outcome impossible to evade. But was that truly the case? Bloodbreak represents the ultimate Warbeast racial talent, a super physical limit ability awakened in only 1 out of 10 million Warbeasts. After brief attempts, Sora and Shiro resolved to genuinely surrender. Surpassing physical limits meant ceasing to be carbon-based lifeforms. Existing Earth-based formulae could no longer predict their movements. But was failure truly their only path left? Indeed, it was. Soon both Sora and Shiro were struck, leading to the collective defection of humanity's 2 most crucial combatants. By then, Izuna could barely stand, as Bloodbreak's side effects became unmistakably apparent. Yet despite this, Izuna felt genuinely happy from the heart. Everyone nearly forgot that cheap supermarket freebie. Though Steph was weak, Shiro's floor calculations proved all NPC movement followed patterns. Steph only needed to do one thing: cling to an NPC per Sora's instructions, close her eyes, and fire forward at the precise moment. This surpassed even the God of Games Tet's luckiest exploits. With Steph's eyes shut and lacking killing intent, coupled with NPC's silent footsteps, the Warbeast's danger perception remained unactivated. For added security, Sora bound Steph's firing timing and location with a covenant, the supreme rule. This flawless plan secured humanity's narrow victory. Henceforth, the Warbeast race on Lucia continent would be reduced to livestock. Yet Sora's scheming continued. He ordered Clammy and the Elf Overseer to report to Elven Guard. Per the Reversi game outcome, he held the right to alter the Elf's memories, unbeknownst to the Warbeasts. True to form, their supreme leader, the Priestess, appeared, wagering Eastern Union's territories beyond Lucia continent for a final match against Sora and Shiro. This time, Sora possessed game selection rights and chose coin toss.
Ready? Ashinte!
But the Priestess shamelessly activated Bloodbreak to predict the coin's outcome. But unfortunately, they never won on technical skill, yet they never lost at deception. This was why the siblings, Sora and Shiro, always secured victory before games even began. A draw could mean both sides lost or both sides won. The siblings had just wagered the Warbeast racial rights over Lucia continent. The Priestess wagered territories beyond it. Considering the threat from Elven Guard, though non-existent in reality, the Priestess, after deliberation, could only choose mutual victory. Eastern Union belonged to humanity while retaining all species rights for Warbeast citizens. Upon learning Sora and Shiro's ultimate goal was challenging the one true god Tet, the Priestess was further astonished. Gazing at the massive race piece sculpture across the sea, she assumed Sora would demand her to offer their race piece. But Sora smiled, stating she was profoundly mistaken, for the 10th of the 10 pledges dictated by Tet emphasized peaceful play, without which this world couldn't be conquered. Tet felt gratified knowing Sora understood this intent, thus concluded the entirety of No Game No Life Season 1. Unfortunately, there was no second season. As expected, the author had likely returned to another world.